This is genuinely insane, as an insider has come out and stated why he believes the New York Rangers are in shambles this year and why they will not turn things around. Some of the comments are pretty shocking, as well as a positive prospect update. We're going to get into that as well in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 74% of you who watch these videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to keep up to date with everything New York Rangers, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Now, on the broadcast of the last Rangers game against the Washington Capitals, again, another disappointing loss considering they scored first and they made it close at the end. Mark Messier had some very interesting things to say on the NHL on ESPN in the intermission of the game. And Mark Messier basically went on for about a minute, over a minute. This clip is not the only piece of it, on how he feels about the New York Rangers and what's going on. And he said that, when he was in Edmonton and Gretzky was traded, the team was mad at management and it was hard to play. So, and obviously Lauren here has her opinion. So for everyone who's calling this core soft, obviously, she goes on to say this. I still think that, if you're employed by the team, you have a job to do and you have to show up to work and do it. But, and we've talked about it on the channel ad nauseum, but he did say that, and there is a point to that, right? Like, when you trade Gretzky, there was a loss of trust. And he goes on to say that as well, that right now the core is fractured. There's there's a disconnect between management and coaching staff. Again, this is his opinion. And there's a lack of trust and loyalty now, obviously, between the players, coaching, and obviously management. We've seen that with some of the players coming out, like Zach Jones saying, I don't understand why I'm being scratched. Capo Caco, when he's still here, I don't understand why I am being scratched. So, a lot of players are coming out and saying stuff like that. Players are being traded like crazy. They're being, threatened to put on waivers. That's all understandable. At the end of the day, you are still a part of the team. You have to show up to work and put in your best effort. Now, Messier, and a lot of people left this part out, during the broadcast. He did come out and say that, he understands why the team is fractured right now, and he doesn't believe that they're going to get it together. He doesn't see championship material in this team right now, that the way they've responded to everything, because he said when he was in Edmonton, yes, this happened, as you can see here, this quote, Gretzky was traded. They were all mad at management, but they pulled it together and they ended up winning a Stanley Cup still in 1990. So he did mention that as well. He said, you know what? At the end of the day, we did turn things around. We had a championship mentality and we turned things around and we responded by winning a Stanley Cup. And he said on the broadcast, he does not see that mentality with these New York Rangers. Now, in terms of the fractured core, whatever you want to call it, some of the stats this season are incredibly staggering to look at. I mean, this one really blew me out of the water right after the Capitals game. This was the New York Rangers' 20th regulation loss, and in the last 4 seasons, in 21-22, their 20th regulation loss came in game 69 of the season. 2 seasons ago, in game 71. Last season, game 69. So all the way at the end of the season is when we saw the 20th regulation loss. This year, their 20th regulation loss came in just game 38 of the season. Things are not going well this season. 24-25 does not look like it's going to be a playoff year for the New York Rangers. And when you look at like impact charts and stuff like that, it's usually the same guys at the bottom. Again, not a great night for Adam Fox and Ryan Lindgren. Ryan Lindgren has not had a great year. I was praising Chris Drury earlier in the offseason, saying, it was a great idea to re-sign Ryan Lindgren because he's the Robin to Adam Fox's Batman at the time, of course. And, it was a great idea to sign him to a flexible contract. So maybe if things go south, you can trade him at the trade deadline. It's not looking that way. Things have not been going well. And even guys like I need to point out in this video is Alexis Lafreniere. He's not having a great season. I mean, he's been one of the quietest New York Rangers over the last 2 months. And, a lot of other guys have been catching flack, like Mika Zibanejad, who was actually really good in this game. And not just this game, he has been scoring the last couple of games. And obviously Chris Kreider, nobody thinks that he's 100% healthy. There's something to that as well. But Alexis Lafreniere has been, there's been nothing said about any injury. He's been very quiet over the last couple months. He just signed a new contract. He hasn't been going either. So I feel like some direction, something has to be pointed at him as well. So that is definitely something to look at. And it has not been going good for the New York Rangers this season. And obviously Mark Messier, and I've seen a lot of comments. I see a lot of you guys, Mark Messier, a lot of people want him as the president of the team or maybe, the GM of the team. I'm not sure. if he's fit for that role right now. Obviously, he's doing his thing on TV, but this is what he believes, that the core is fractured and that there's a disconnect. Now, Peter Laviolette came out and said that the Jacob Trouba trade was, like-minded between him and Chris Drury. So there is that. But again, sometimes they just say these things to save face. We have to keep that in mind as well. So there is a lack of trust and loyalty, I think, between the team and management. That is 100%. But at the end of the day, you have to show up, try to do your best if you're still on the team. I think a lot of these guys want to be New York Rangers, but under their terms. So I'm not sure what's going to happen here, but I did like the fact, and a lot of people on Twitter left this part out, that Mark Messier in that clip did say, we pulled it together at the end of the day, and our response was ending up winning a Stanley Cup in 1990 after Wayne Gretzky was traded a couple years before that. So I thought that was very interesting. And in terms of, maybe some more positive stuff and maybe some other Rangers updates, Emily Kaplan of ESPN also said that the Rangers organization loves Matt Rempe, and we will see him again very soon. And by very soon, obviously, when he's finished serving his lengthy suspension. So I'm sure he'll be back in the lineup. I don't think that comes as a surprise to Rangers fans. He does bring something to the lineup. We saw in that game against Dallas before he got that suspension that it was a bad play, that bad hit that he got suspended for. He did make a difference in that game. He had positive input and impact as well. So I'm sure we will see him soon. And again, in terms of some real positives, Gabriel Perreault putting on a show at the World Juniors Hockey Championship, with obviously the USA advancing to the final, not just on his shoulders, but he's been a big part of them, getting to where they're going in this tournament. It looks like they could be on their way to winning gold, and he has the entire hockey world on notice right now in this tournament. He's been playing great, and he is a draft steal for the New York Rangers and had a silky smooth goal today, obviously in their semifinal game against Czechia. And he's had a couple goals and a couple great plays in this tournament. So I think that's really good news for Rangers fans looking forward, because again, I did mention they do have trouble developing prospects, but if they can kind of get that together and develop this player properly, it looks like he's going to turn pro next season. He looks like he could be a really good piece going forward, and another guy who could, come up at the same time as, Lafreniere is coming into his own, into his prime as well. So I think that the prospect of that is at least very exciting, but we'll see what the New York Rangers do. But let me know in the comments what you think about Mark Messier's comments. I think they're pretty on point. I would like to see them respond in a bit of a different way. As you can see there at the bottom of the ticker, the Rangers are 5-15 since November 21st. Not ideal. They only have 35 points this season, and they're obviously last in the Metropolitan Division, or tied for last in the Metropolitan Division. So it's been tough. It's been a tough season, and Messier doesn't see them coming out of it. He doesn't see the championship mentality in them, but he was hoping that they would respond a different way, but they are not. So pretty strong choice of words there from the former New York Rangers captain. But let me know what you think in the comments, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.